Today, the Alzheimer Society has hundreds of branch members, volunteers and staff, but it began with just two, Winifred Bligh and Imelda Gillespie. Both were passionate and determined women with family members diagnosed with dementia. At the time, there was a lack of understanding, public awareness was absent, and the condition was surrounded by stigma and too often confused as a normal part of ageing. Feelings of isolation and abandonment were common among families. Not only were doctors unable to tell them what caused the condition, much less prescribe a treatment, Winifred and Imelda had found out the hard way that information, support and facilities were virtually non-existent. The Medical Social Research Board was not even sure exactly how many confirmed cases of Alzheimer's disease or dementia existed at the time.
The Alzheimer Society was set up in 1982 by myself, Winifred Bligh, and my fellow carer, Imelda Gillespie. And we set it up because 35 years ago, it was a very different world. Alzheimer's was hardly known by the general public. The word Alzheimer's didn't mean a thing. And even the average GP had very, very little knowledge of the disease, and he wasn't able to offer any help, any significant help or constructive help to anybody who came to him. And of course, as regards special services or anything like that, there just weren't any. And carers were really at their wits' end. I think that's not too strong a word. And they were crying out for information, direction and help. And they felt terribly isolated and alone, and we thought we could address that.
They had no money, no premises and little spare time. However, with Winifred's publishing expertise and the vital support of the popular Gayborn show, they were able to fund their first self-help Alzheimer Society at the meeting in December 1982, in a hall provided by St John of God's Hospital in Stillorgan. Thus began the society with initial focus on support for carers in the form of information and solidarity. Following this meeting, the original committee was set up. Imelda Gillespie was the first chairperson, Winifred Bligh as honorary secretary and Jack Travers as honorary treasurer.
In May 1983, the Society took a major step by holding a press reception to publicly announce their arrival on the scene for the first time. This took place at the Burlington Hotel, was addressed by Oxford Professor Gordon Wilcock and attended by Fianna Fáil TD Dr Michael Woods. As a result, the committee was expanded to include Mary Higgins, Michael Coote, Vincent Brady, Helen Smith and Michael Duffy. The first priority was lobbying to introduce a public mandate for the Department of Health to take into account people with Alzheimer's disease and take some stock of the problem at hand. A parliamentary question was asked to the Minister for Health over whether the government had accurate figures to hand for the disease. The Medico-Socio Research Board, which had previously confirmed over 450 cases of the disease, soon revised their figures upwards to 850. The Society continued to press the unique importance of Alzheimer's disease to the Oireachtas. In 1984, the Society met with Niall Andrews TD, who undertook to raise a motion at the next meeting of the Eastern Health Board requesting to classify Alzheimer's as a special category disease.
1985 marked the formation of the first committee outside Dublin at a public meeting in the Imperial Hotel, Cork, organised by Winifred, Imelda and Michael Coote. This marked the formation of the first committee outside of Dublin. Mary Dunleavy played a crucial role in this development. While we were still a long way off from the branch structure we know today, this was the start of it. Another precursor to our modern structure was formed this year too. As the goals of the society began to form, it became clear it wasn't efficient anymore for the main committee to handle every task, so the subcommittees were formed. For example, Joe Rowe became head of the subcommittee for publicity. Winifred and Etna Greeley headed the subcommittee for support groups. The subcommittees were an early form of today's structure, though their names and roles were to change significantly over the coming years.
In 1985, the founding members embarked on a new journey, with Imelda retiring from the society she founded in 1982 when she emigrated to Canada, and Michael being elected as chairman of the society. In October 1986, Michael and Winifred took the first step to international recognition for the society as they attended the Alzheimer's Disease International Conference in Paris. Winifred herself addressed the conference, and ASI was elected to the Executive Council of the organisation and requested that the conference for 1989 be held in Dublin. It was shortly after the Paris conference that Winifred started one of our most critical services, daycare. The first one she opened was the Sandyman Centre in July of 1987, but because of constraints on money and staff, it could only be open for 1 day a week. She opened another daycare centre on the premises provided by the Daughters of Charity in Blackrock 3 months later. The Sandyman Centre was to be short-lived, closing in April of 1988, with its clients transferred to Blackrock. It expanded into a 4-bedded respite care centre in August of 1989, and Blackrock remains the longest-running daycare centre run by the Society to date.